What's up, everybody? Welcome to Gaming Without Parole. My name is Bryan Paul, and sitting across from me is the ever-illustrious Mike Zeller.
Yep.
Mike, this is our post-E3 wrap-up.
It is.
You know, since we were there on the ground floor.
Yeah, exactly. We were just in the trenches.
Yeah, I was in a trench, and it was called my living room, and I sat there for 2 days straight live streaming the conference from 3 different sites.
And I've been at work, because I have a real job.
Yeah, I don't. I actually took one of my real job days off from work. So... yeah, this podcast cost me quite a bit of money. All right, Mike, just for the people at home who have not watched this before, what the fuck are you doing with your lives? What do we do here on Gaming Without Parole?
Well, today, what we're going to do, there have just been, this has been the E3, I think, of unexpected surprises. More so, I mean, obviously at every E3 they want to trot out some exciting things, but this was the E3 of stuff that I never, frankly, thought would ever happen. So,
oh, you and me both.
Yeah. So in just celebration of the madness, I am leaning in, and over the course of this podcast, I will be eating this entire 20 chicken McNugget box. I will be putting this meat slurry product into my body because what else can I do? Everything is on the table now, you know?
You're making it sound like it's a challenge. You've done this before.
Yeah, but I don't feel good afterwards.
No one ever feels good.
I have a touchy stomach, so the ending of this podcast, we're going to be counting down each of the meat pieces, each of the liquefied raccoons as I consume them. And hopefully I will not be incapacitated by the end of the show.
I used to be in a band that when I was 15 years old
called Liquefied Raccoon.
Oh, no, it was called Strychnine. So, and after band practice, actually, I don't even know if it was that band, but after band practice or during band practice, we'd all make a McDonald's run, and we'd each get a 20-piece nugget, and we'd devour them. It would almost be like a contest who could finish them first. It was never really an issue. 15-year-olds have pretty healthy appetites.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be able to eat these and probably won't die immediately.
My only concern is that you make it home first, and that you don't have to use my bathroom.
Yeah.
Because my bathroom's messy enough.
Yeah. I don't know who would win in that situation. We'll find out, loyal viewers.
No one is going to win in this situation.
No.
All right, Mike, listen.
I bang into the microphone with everything. All right, let's get this fucking show started.
Speaking of microphones, really apologize to anyone who watched last week's episode. There was an audio issue, and it will not happen again.
Barry.
It was called Barry. So I've got my trusty headphones here. You'll see me put them on every so often. I should probably just have them around my neck so I can check out the audio, make sure everything's fine like it is right now.
I hope they can hear me chewing.
I hope so. Get real close to that mic. Real slobber over it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We can get Brett over here. We can play some video games.
Yeah.
With the barbecue sauce in here.
Exactly, yeah.
Before we dive into E3,
yes,
we have some shit to talk about.
We do?
Well, there are only 2 basic news stories happened last week, like that we just need to kind of gloss over almost. Because we did. This is not our normal Sunday podcast. We did want to wait till the E3 was over, so we had anything to talk about because nothing happens before E3 for a whole week. But
the world holds its breath.
But one of the things that did happen, Bloodstain,
yes,
met all of its Kickstarter goals.
It quintupled, more than quintupled what it was expected to earn.
It's insane. So that means we will be seeing it on the Vita, and we also will be seeing it on the Wii U. Which, I won't be playing it there, but for the people who only own a Wii U, this is amazing. Oh yeah.
Well, I have a Vita too, but
what would you rather play it on?
I don't know. I've been debating it because, I've played all of the last however many Castlevanias on a handheld, so it seems kind of natural.
Oh.
But I like the idea of really nice sprites on a big TV. It's been kind of a while since I played a really high-end sprite-based game on a TV.
I'll be buying it on 5 platforms. I want one for every no.
Did you donate to the Kickstarter?
I didn't. Why bother, man? I'll just buy it when it comes out. On a Kickstarter that I know is going to succeed.
Yeah.
There's, for me, no point. Unless there's some cool bonuses.
Well, there are bonuses.
Yeah, nothing I care about. The last one that I wanted to donate to that I really I was kind of broke when it happened was that new, what was it? Thistleweed Park or Thimbleweed Park.
Oh, the point and click adventure,
like the LucasArts game. Because if you donated like $150, you'd get like a full like old school LucasArts style box.
They'd come to your house and check that you're okay because they wanted to make sure. What are you spending your disposable income on this for? Like,
yeah, they should already have made a few visits to my house. Anyway, so that happened, and that's fantastic. But the other thing that happened, which is kind of not mind-boggling, but I think we all know who U-Boll is.
Oh yeah,
is he a German director? Russian?
He's German.
German.
Yeah.
Now,
oh, he's definitely German.
Did you hear about what happened?
No.
Okay.
So, is he dead?
So he had a Kickstarter.
I did hear about this.
And it did not succeed.
Surprising.
It was for, I believe the Kickstarter was for Rampage 3, which he's well known for his video game to movie adaptations. They're never good.
I will be honest, actually, on some level, I was joking when I said surprising, but I kind of am surprised, because I figured there would be enough ironic assholes who would want to just see this because it's awful, you know?
Yeah. But, I mean, there are so many other awful U-Boll atrocities out there.
Yeah.
That this isn't, like... I mean, if I'm right, it is for Rampage 3. It is. And, like... I don't remember the first two.
No.
So
I mean, Rampage that's not the climbing the building.
Like
really?
Wasn't it Data East? Like you're the monsters and you're climbing the buildings.
Yeah, that seems like the type of thing that I would remember. Is it just him in like a werewolf costume knocking over like cardboard buildings?
Probably. I don't even know if this saw theatrical releases. But he had a huge meltdown, and he did it publicly. He posted videos of himself like screaming on YouTube. So the quote is phenomenal. His quote is, "So basically, my message is fuck yourself. It looks like no one gives a shit about Rampage 3. So maybe I shouldn't do it then. I have enough money to play golf until I'm dead."
Is this a meltdown, or is he having like a striking moment of clarity? Like it's like the opposite of the David Hasselhoff. He's not hitting rock bottom. He's like coming out of the.
He's attacked his critics before. Like he's even
physically
boxing rings.
Yeah.
Like he's challenged people to boxing matches.
And he beat the shit out of them too, from as I understood it.
Well, I mean Yeah. Anyway, so the quote goes on. He said, "I wanted to do Rampage 3 because it's an important movie." This is hard to read, but it looks like you were easier giving $600,000 to make a movie about some retarded wizard in the forest or some Marvel Avengers bullshit dirt. So goodbye and goodbye Hollywood. Goodbye, U-Boll. I gotta say, I've tried to watch a lot of your movies, and there's not enough pot in the world to make them anything tolerable. I mean, I'd rather watch our podcast
oh shit
than watch your movies, and that says a fucking lot.
Yeah.
So goodbye, U-Boll. You won't really be missed.
I hope he walked off into the sunset to the Incredible Hulk music.
Right?
Na 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 na.
Where's Tony when you need him?
I know. Oh well.
Back to E3.
Okay.
Mike, we're going to go through this step by step. It's going to take a little while.
Okay.
I hope you brought some food.
Yeah, I sure did. Oh God, look! What are these? What is that?
Somebody lost a finger and they fried it.
Oh.
All right. So Xbox was the first major. Nope, that's not right. Bethesda was the first major conference this year. It actually happened a day earlier than it was on Sunday, and I mean, Fallout 4 looks unbelievable.
Yeah.
You gotta time these bites better. I think
it's better when I've got a mouthful of food.
All right.
I'm hoping I spray nuggets a few times over the course of the podcast.
So Fallout 4 looks bigger and crazier than anyone could have ever imagined. You've got a dog.
Well, that's pretty standard.
Yeah, but I hope he's optional.
Is he a sweet dog?
Seems very nice. Seems very adorable. I don't know if you can cuddle. So it starts. They were showing the Fallout 4 information.
Sauce everywhere.
It's fine.
Yeah.
And it starts to look a lot like Minecraft, because everything you pick up can be dismantled and used for parts, and you can basically make better guns. You can create armor, which almost has like this like mech aspect to it. It's like big moving, like mechanized armor. So that's pretty impressive. On top of that, you can tear buildings down and rebuild and create entire settlements of your own. You can create multiple settlements. You can bus stuff back and forth between the two, like in a caravan. It's out of control. I don't know if there's enough free time for the rest of my life to play this game.
Yeah, this sounds like the type of thing that I would spend just forever, just constantly going out on raids and coming back with like useless shit. It was the Fallout 3. You could do a lot of shit too. I started to give myself, once I became so over leveled that I was just slaughtering everything, I started giving myself little like side goals. Like I had to bring every single teddy bear in the entire game back to my bedroom in the
but that's kind of the cool thing about Fallout is that you can, kind of have these meta games.
Yeah.
But it almost seems like they're giving you so much where you won't even have to think about stuff like that. You're just going to complete everything in this game, I think is going to be virtually impossible.
Wow.
And it's, a lot of people complained that they were saying, it doesn't look very good.
Come on, man. Fucking priorities.
Right? I mean, this is a game that took over 4 years to make, and I think just how vast the scope of this game is unbelievable.
Well, they said they even started work on it. What I read said almost 7 years from start. I mean, maybe that was like from beginning of design document.
You know what, though? You're right. It is much more than 4 years. They did say, because it started basically right after Fallout 3 was over.
Yeah.
Some other fantasy game got in the way for a minute, but I mean, whatever. None of that shit matters. So yeah, it looks amazing. I mean, I really can't wait to play it. It's definitely my game of the year. The collector's edition looks awesome. I have 3 pre-ordered.
Once you can have a Pip-Boy on each hand, and then one to keep in the box for sentimental value.
Yeah, I actually, it's one's for me. I've got a couple pre-ordered for other people. Just trying to be nice. So that's that.
Did we want to... I mean, I know we mentioned it before, but the fact that it's set in Boston...
It is definitely set in Boston. It is... Yeah, it's like in our backyard.
Yeah.
It's in our front yard.
Yeah.
We are the backyard.
Yeah, yeah, we're like the neighbors, like in the Christmas Story, we're the neighbors with all the like big nasty dogs and stuff that are always wrecking everybody's house.
Yeah. We're the toilet bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's not enough cool stuff to say about Fallout. But honestly, I just want it. And it's coming this year, which is phenomenal.
Did they give a firm release date or a...
They did. I didn't get. I think I want to say November.
Wow.
Yeah, which is, I mean, every other game should just clear out of the way.
Yeah.
Because this is the biggest game of the year now. I think anybody who had hope of being game of the year, I think Witcher 3 for a minute looked like it could have been game of the year.
Those poor Polish. They try so hard.
They really did. But this looks like it. This if it's even half as good as I think it's going to be, it will be my favorite game for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always very hesitant to jump on the hype train with anything. But I mean, these people have been tested. They know what they're doing. Like,
what a track record.
Yeah, like
right?
They're not going to fuck this up.
So, Bethesda also announced Doom technically 4, right? But this is a looks like a massive reboot. And
because the Doom storyline was just too convoluted at this point.
But it looks like they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Because Doom 3 was very, I mean, almost survival horror, right? Like it did try to infuse a story into something that didn't need to be there. No. This looks like it's arcade, back to arcade roots.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, I like Doom 3 a lot, but
yeah, it was good. Yeah. But this is just super fast moving, super arcadey. It is. I mean, the demo they played had you going up and trying to open a door with your hand on a scanner, but then you were able to like watch kind of like a replay of what happened, like how people died, and you could go track down this body and like go rip off his arm and like use his hand to open the door. It was just like this kind of like gruesome, like nonstop gore fest. Really, you're tearing people in half, and the melee attacks were crazy.
Yeah.
Are you going to be playing this?
Probably. I mean, I've liked all the other Doom games.
Yeah. I'm going to skip it.
You
Like,
think so?
It looks insane. It looks awesome. But, I mean, I'm just so done with, like... And I know it's not a bro shooter, but it feels like a bro shooter. You know, just that like, super intense, heavy focus on action. It feels like there's something missing.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I still enjoy the arcade-style shooters.
So what about this do you find appealing?
I mean, just I like the arcadey nature of it. I like simple. I like simple shooters. I liked the original Doom. I like the kind of horror, but not particularly scary vibe. I mean, I liked Doom 3 a lot too. I liked that feeling of kind of being trapped on Mars. I mean, it wasn't really. It was horror, but not survival horror. You were never particularly short of ammunition after the beginning of the game.
Sure.
And even balancing like the flashlight with the shooting was never as complicated as people seem to think it was.
Okay.
But yeah, I like things that don't pretend to have aspirations that they really don't or can't live up to, you know?
Sure.
Because the reality is most of the writing and most of the depth in video games is pretty superficial, so it's nice to see things that are not pretending to be anything but, mindless action.
The whole thing reminded me of kind of just being like an arcade in the 90s. Yeah. Just like high action, high noise,
just ripping people's arms off.
Right, just holding it very visceral.
Just demons everywhere. That was like arcades.
Totally.
90s were a crazy time.
Absolutely. And then they also announced Dishonored 2.
Which nobody gives a shit about.
Well, it's funny, like, that a lot of people, the reaction was crazy. Everyone seems to really like Dishonored, and it was a free game on PlayStation Plus, so I did download it, and I played it for like 5 minutes. I was like, oh, I might get back to this. I'm never going to get back to it. There's just not enough time in life to play this thing right now.
Yeah, it seems fine, just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I'm with you. Moving on, though. The stuff that I was really excited about were Microsoft's conference, Sony's conference. I mean, those were the two big ones. I was curious to see what Nintendo was going to have to offer for their Nintendo Direct.
Oh, yeah.
So that happened today, along with Square Enix's conference. So let's start with Xbox, because they were the first one. They had a bunch of stuff. I mean, they showed Halo 5 Guardians, Recore. It's people from Retro, people from the Metroid Prime team.
Okay.
Working with Inafune.
Really?
Yeah, and the amount that all of these people have to do with the project is sort of questionable. It just seems like they wanted a lot of people's names to be attached to this project.
Yeah.
And they only showed like a brief 30-second CG trailer. And as much as you like to find out the concept behind games, I want to see gameplay.
Yeah.
Don't give it to me this early. Like we were talking about Indiana Jones. They were saying, "Oh, Indiana Jones, they're going to make a new one." But we haven't started it. We don't have a script.
We haven't talked about it yet.
Right. Like, why even tell us this early? It's pointless. So, the big news that I really was excited about as an Xbox One owner was that it's going to be backward compatible with 360.
Really?
Yeah.
So they're going to have a software?
So here's what it is. You can be able to download stuff from the Microsoft Store.
Okay.
Yep. And if you own a 360 disc, you put it in, and it basically initiates the download.
Okay.
So it's not like full backward compatibility, but it's a workaround. Now the funny thing about this is that Sony was always the one that was like for the gamers, and it's all about the games, and especially with the early iterations of the PlayStation 2 could play PlayStation 1 games, PlayStation 3 initially could play 1 and 2. And now we're stuck with the PlayStation 4 that does none of that, except through PlayStation Now, which has ridiculously high subscription fees and doesn't work that well. So they need to give up on PlayStation Now and follow Microsoft's lead this time.
Yeah. It's backwards compatibility is one of those things where I feel like you can tell how much a company really gives a shit about their consumers, their player base, by their backwards compatibility, because it's one of those things that it really offers no advantages to the company to do that.
Nope.
Because you don't want people playing old games, you want them playing new games. Or if they want to play old games, you want to be able to sell it to them again.
Exactly.
Which is such bullshit, but
but everyone else does it.
Yeah.
Everyone else is you can at least play the last generation of hardware, the last generation games from the last generation hardware on the newer one. And I don't actually. So it's kind of funny. There were. I was on a Facebook group, and when this news was announced on a PlayStation group, some people were losing their minds, but a lot of people were like, "I don't care about this kind of stuff." And they do say that backwards compatibility only matters to about 10% of gamers.
Yeah.
Now, but I think they have to. I think the companies have to realize that those 10% of gamers are your hardcore fan base that buys games, doesn't sell them, and will probably buy them again if you give them an incentive to anyway.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because it's like they're always talking about how shitty it is when people buy their games and then just sell them right back so that somebody else can buy it for $5 less, of which the company sees none of the profit. And yet here you are creating a reason for people to keep their games.
Right.
And
yep, absolutely. So it's not a perfect solution as of now.
It sounds a lot better than what they did with the 360, though.
Well, that's what I'm nervous about, because they sort of announced the same thing with the 360, and then just kind of like, true. And by the way, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah,
just don't tell anyone.
It was great. I mean, if you saw the lists of some of the stuff that was, and I mean, I understand it was because of like software compatibility and such, but the lists of original Xbox games that ended up being compatible on the 360 were ludicrous.
Yeah.
You had like Halo and Halo 2 and assorted, I think Knights of the Old Republic, and then it was like Barbie Horse Adventure, Aquaman, just all this shit. And I mean, it's because those were easy patches.
Right.
With other software, but they never made. I think Time Splitters was never backwards compatible. A lot of their big name titles.
It sent the right message to gamers, saying we care, and like we are. They've done so much backpedaling over the last couple of years, trying to reverse the message they first gave with the original Xbox One conference. It sounds like they're on the right path.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Now, a ton of stuff was announced at the show. Dark Souls 3 was shown a little bit at Microsoft's press conference. The Division we already knew about from Ubisoft. That was shown off.
So Dark Souls 3 is not going to be platform exclusive with Sony, but it was just Bloodborne.
Just Bloodborne.
Huh.
And supposedly Dark Souls 3 is the last in the Souls series. So take that for what it's worth. Are they going to start focusing on Bloodborne? Are they going to start focusing on these kind of like one-off spin-offs? Yeah. Or what are they going to do? There was a game called Cuphead that was... It was very much an indie title, and they were showing what looked like cartoons of like these old, like almost like Steamboat Mickey.
Oh yeah,
kind of
Steamboat
thing.
Willie. Yeah,
Steamboat Willie, right? And it looked like that, and then you were like, oh wait, they're actually showing their game.
Yeah, I have seen some shots of that.
It looks amazing in action. It is. It's supposed to be something very special.
Yeah. So
I'm looking forward to seeing that. Fable Legends was shown off a little bit. It's a free-to-play game now.
Ooh.
Yeah,
that series is going in the right direction.
Yeah, right.
Does anyone even give a shit about Fable anymore? I mean...
I think people would care if they made a good Fable game again. Yeah. Because the fan base really enjoys Fable 1 and 2, at least.
Yeah. Well, I feel like Fable... The trajectory of Fable was like the first one, people were like, oh, I see where you're going with this. Like, this isn't fun, but like, I get it. And then Fable 2, people were like, oh, this isn't too bad. And then it was like Fable 3 was just garbage. It always kind of amazes me when these series get AAA status when they haven't really ever had... I mean, I feel like 2 has a pretty good reputation, but even then, I don't think anybody really thinks they hit it out of the park.
But the thing is I think Peter Molyneux is always like shooting for the stars. He's
That's
always
true.
always announcing these big things and then can't back them up. And I really think that Fable
It's
1
like
and
that
2...
kid we all knew in elementary school. Just always in middle school, always making these big claims and just never following through.
It's like, I can jump 3 cars on my dirt bike.
Yeah, exactly. And then he just plows into the first one. Like,
Yeah, and he was in the hospital for the rest of the school year.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Oh,
But everyone still kind of liked him.
we miss you, Joey.
Yeah. Oh, poor Joey.
So, Fable Legends is free to play now, which means they've totally given up on it.
Yeah.
This is interesting, and this is, again, for the gamers kind of message. Xbox Game Preview. This is, for all intents and purposes, Steam Early Access on Xbox.
Really?
Yeah.
That is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's every single game that's part of Game Preview will have a free downloadable demo to try out before you decide to give money. It just looks, again, it's the right message to send. It's obviously Steam is doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Let's mimic Steam. So, although there is a lot of garbage on Steam Early Access.
Yeah, there is that angle. But, it's better to get that than nothing,
Yep. All right, so here's where things get interesting.
Finally.
And I think this is just Rare finally announced some stuff. Now, their new game is called Sea of Thieves, and it looks like an MMO pirate game. It's cartoony.
Okay.
It looks like a lot of people are going crazy over this. I'm not an MMO guy. I thought, what was the Assassin's Creed game, Black Flag? That was one of my favorite games of recent memory. So I do want to play a great pirate game. I just don't want to play this pirate game.
Yeah.
But the thing that they announced that I really am into, it's called Rare Replays, and it's 30 games for $30, and it's basically a history of Rare games.
Really?
Yep. Xbox One exclusive. It is digital and physical. $30. And it's games like Conker's Bad Fur Day, it's Banjo 1 and 2, it's Banjo Nuts and Bolts.
Okay.
It's Viva Pinata and the follow-up Viva Pinata. It's a bunch of
Trouble in Paradise.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was. It's all of their old.
Maybe.
It's Battletoads and Battletoads Arcade. It is.
That's the first time that's been released on a console.
And you'd be excited about that.
That I am excited about that.
And then there's a bunch of garbage that they made before video games were cool. So I mean, just for the games I just listed, $30 is an amazing value.
Oh yeah,
but to
be able
Conker's
to go back, Bad Fur Day goes for like $80
easily.
Yeah. Is this going to be the? Not that it matters. Who cares? But is this going to be the N64 version or the Xbox Reloaded version?
I don't know. I'm assuming they want the best version of each one, but we'll find out. I've already got it pre-ordered on Amazon for $30.
I don't have an Xbox One, and I might even buy that.
You can play on mine. Now, let's see what else here. So this is weird. So they come out and they're showing off Microsoft HoloLens. Now these are they're not VR glasses, but they are AR glasses, augmented reality. And the guy,
so it's like VR, but you're more likely to fall down the stairs while fighting hobgoblins.
Totally. So, I mean, we were expecting them to do something with Minecraft because they paid billions for Mojang.
Yeah, that would be nice.
This was pretty impressive. The guy puts on the glasses, and you're actually able to see what he sees. They did it really well in the press conference, and they just had this nice empty square table, and they're like, "Yep, we're going to bring the game up here," and it was like in full 3D on the table, and he could manipulate the world with his hand, and he could watch players running around and doing their thing, and the whole thing was unbelievable.
Yeah.
To the point where it was something I didn't care about before, and now I'm like, I want these, like, and I have no use for them. Like, it's a gimmick, but
you don't have enough space. You'd have to like open the door so you could.
I hope it works on circle tables.
Yeah,
because that's the only one I have. So yeah, I mean, it's just very cool. Also, they started off the conference. They started off this demonstration with him projecting Minecraft. It's on
vomit just everywhere.
in pixelated vomit, but on a wall, like just like
these are rotting me from the inside.
That's fucking gross. I can smell them. I'm getting a headache.
I know. Oh, God.
Although now the addictive quality of them makes me want to go have some.
Yeah, we can go get more later.
So through these glasses, he was able to basically project Minecraft on a wall. So you don't even need a TV. You're playing this game on a wall, and the whole thing just seems really cool. I have no idea how much they're going for, or how much they will go for when they're coming out, but, of course they have this partnership with Oculus Rift as well, so, they kind of blew it out of the park. They had a great press conference, start to finish. I thought it was amazing. And there was no Call of Duty in sight. There was no, I think Assassin's Creed maybe was on for a minute or something, I don't even remember, but Xbox or Microsoft was always the place that started with the new Call of Duty game.
Yeah.
And I'd always zone out for like 10 minutes. So I'd be like, I don't care. And so this was a very different conference for them.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it thoroughly. I was like, this is one to beat. So Electronic Arts had theirs. Nothing terribly noteworthy. Never really is. They did have one called Unwound, I think, which... Shit, I hope it's called Unwound. The main character is called Yarny, and he's made of yarn. It's like a whole
man, we haven't seen anything like that before.
It's like a whole... It's like a subgenre right now. And it's a puzzle platformer.
It's because knitting is so big among
it really is.
Lame hipsters.
And it's... I don't know, but it was this independent game. It seems very sweet and endearing. And the whole time he's using his yarn to get from place to place. And it's a puzzle platformer, but it's a cute one. I'll be keeping my eyes on it. If it comes to Vita, I'll probably play it. I don't know. We'll see. Ubisoft always has, their big open world bullshit. And there was more. There was more of that. This show is obviously geared toward me. Like I'm skipping all the stuff that is big budget, big action, big open worlds. I only need Fallout. I don't need like Far Cry 7. But what Ubisoft did announce was awesome. It's the new South Park game.
Oh, yeah?
It's called The Fractured Butthole. And I can't say the name without laughing. It basically ditches the fantasy setting and it goes into the superhero setting.
Okay.
And Matt and Trey came out on stage, and I was like, this is great. I'm excited to play a South Park game again. The first game was great. Did you play it? I
did not. I'm just not a big South Park fan.
Really? I feel like it's hard not to be a South Park fan.
I liked the movie well enough, but their humor just never really clicked with me.
I got you. I don't keep up with it. I don't keep up with the show enough, but then when I do, I watch like 10 episodes in a row. So I've probably seen most of them, barring I probably missed an entire season at some point. So I'm excited for that. Moving on. 9 o'clock last night, PlayStation press conference. And I am like on the edge of my seat because rumors are flying about everything. And they open it up. There's a feather falling from the screen, and I'm like, no fucking way. Is it finally The Last Guardian? And it was.
They announced that it was canceled permanently. That was the last feather from the dead griffin.
It was. So this is tough because I was so hyped. I was like, I've been waiting how many years for this, right? I've been screaming to the heavens, and finally someone listened. Here's the game. And you get the little boy running around, you get the griffin type animal following around, and they're like working together and they're doing stuff, but really most of what they showed was just this little boy screaming things. It's like in another language, like, "Rah, wah, wah," and I'm like, shut the fuck up. Stop making this little boy yell. Like, let's just see what the game's like. And the whole thing was a little bit, I gotta say it, and I don't want to say it.
Oh no!
But I'm here to be honest. It was very underwhelming. Very underwhelming. I almost would have rather them just been like, we're working on it, and then give us a release date. And they did give us a release date, 2016.
Wow.
So not
a little bit of a wait.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, is it like January 2016?
No, just 2016. There is no month associated with this title, which makes me think it might not even come out in 2016. I think it's still like I think they just had to like show something because they have no real. Yeah. They don't have anything really coming this holiday. They have almost nothing exclusive. So I think they just needed a wow factor for their show. So I think they were like, give us a 45-second demo, like give us something, because we need to win these people over. And it worked because I finally get to see the game I've been waiting so long to see. But it wasn't much different from what we saw like 8 years ago. So, so I'm like, okay, I'm cautiously optimistic. Period. And then they moved right into a game called Horizon. Have you seen any of this?
I have not seen this one.
So this is made by Guerrilla, who makes the Killzone games.
Okay.
And finally they were allowed to do something else. Thank goodness, because Killzone was never a very good game.
No. Yeah, that's another one. That was another one like Fables, where it's like, why is this AAA? Like, none of these have really been great.
Graphically, they were all really impressive.
Yeah.
But they were never on par control-wise or
just like content and feel. Like, it never... I mean, they had the bones of something really interesting going on there, but it was almost like they were trying to make two different games.
Yeah,
you know, like a military Call of Duty style shooter, and this weird like almost steampunk space opera.
I'll give you that. And then they tried to make a third game when it came to Killzone on PlayStation 4, whatever that was called. Why can't I remember that? It doesn't matter.
Which is
something
a
Shadow.
Video game version of Eyes Wide Shut.
The Killzone on Fallout 4 was a very conflicted game. It didn't know what it wanted to be. It was beautiful, but it was a mess. I didn't beat it, and I tried many times too. It was very difficult, and not in just difficulty, but just to stay committed to it. It was one of those launch games that were like, oh, look how pretty it is, but it's not good. So they finally get to make this game that we've been sort of hearing rumors about for a while, and it's called Horizon. It's I guess open world, but
what is it nowadays? Ugh.
So it started off showing like these futuristic cities that have been built up, and then but then people dying off. And then sort of nature taking over, and like you get this kind of Last of Us look where there's like these plants taking over buildings and stuff, but even further along than that, where like nature's almost completely taken over. And then you start seeing tribes of people like emerge from the woods, and so you have this girl, and she's like very much like, you know, like this hunter type person, and it all seems very primitive. And then you see what she's hunting, and they are basically like mechanized dinosaurs.
Okay.
Right? And it's just like, and you're like, what? Who's making these things? You know, who's the real enemy? And she's like, but she's got all these great moves. It's a third-person action game for sure. It's and she takes down a couple of the dinosaurs in it. I mean, it looked like a game I wanted to play because it looked like it had heart. You know? Okay. So it was very different for the Guerrilla guys to be making something like this. I'm curious. How many of those do you have left?
I'm curious of too many. God, there's like 6 or 7 of them left, and I don't even know what this one is.
I'm glad you ate the appendage first.
I don't know if there was even any meat in that.
Jeez. I can't believe you're having a tangy barbecue. You have to have sweet and sour sauce.
I'm a barbecue sauce guy. And if I figure if I'm going to poison myself, I at least want to like the flavor.
After 20, though, do you still like the flavor?
Oh, God, I don't like anything anymore. I'm just dying.
You got a ways to go. Okay.
I know. All
right, so moving on.
They're all cold, too.
All right.
Stuck in traffic.
So then we see a new game from Square. And it turns out it's a CG kind of trailer, and there's a voiceover, and then you see something that looks like Midgar. And the camera zooms up, and you see like this guy with a gun for an arm, and I'm like, is that Barrett? And it kind of moves over, and you see the guy with a real big sword on his back with a very flamboyant hairstyle. I'm like, oh my god, it's Cloud and Barrett, and it's Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm even going to put down the nugget.
Did you see the trailer?
I haven't seen the trailer, but I saw the screenshots and I read about the announcement. It's one of those things where I feel like it was going to happen eventually. Like, this was just an inevitability.
It didn't feel like it for a while, though.
Yeah. Well,
8 years of PlayStation 3 rumors.
It felt like it shouldn't happen, though. And I feel like people at Square knew that.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's coming out makes me think kind of that Square is done. Because I think they all realized... And I feel like I always come across as so cynical on this show, but sorry. But I feel like cool heads were prevailing at Square. I'm going to just puke up the nuggets everywhere. Cool heads were prevailing at Square when they realized that Final Fantasy VII, honestly, wasn't really that good. Mm. It's not a terrible game, but it's not it's not really that great. The reason it was so successful was it just hit at just the right time. It was exactly what was needed at that moment for a certain specific and large group of people.
Yeah. It was basically the game that brought role-playing games to the West.
Yeah, and it was what needed to... It was the kind of game that it needed to be to
It had
do
to be
that.
flashy.
Yeah.
And it was.
And it has just built up... And it also hit, right when gaming conversations, I think, were becoming really big for once. Right at the onset of the World Wide Web and all of this other stuff. So... For a lot of people, it was the game that first connected them to kind of the wider gaming community.
Yep.
And so it's just had such a mystique for so long that it can't... there's no possible... Even if it's great, there's no possible way that it can live up to that, to the mystique that this has been building. And it's only going to, therefore, diminish the scope of Final Fantasy VII overall. Which, I mean, personally, I don't care. No. But from a business perspective, this...
I mean, I think Crisis Core, I think Advent Children, I think Dirge of Cerberus, I think those games have already fucking destroyed Final Fantasy for what it was, or Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Making pseudo-sequels, making CG action movies, making... just garbage. I mean, it's not all garbage. I know Crisis Core had some
yeah,
followers.
Crisis Core was pretty okay.
But it's just... That was the time to do a Final Fantasy VII remake. You really want to do it? Get it out then. Honestly, I'm thrilled that it's happening because people want it.
I mean,
Square's finally giving people what they've asked for. Kingdom Hearts 3, that's going to come too. It's where was that for the last 8 years? So... I don't think Square's over. I think Square's finally just saying, well, we need to make money.
Yeah.
What's going to make us money? The PC port's coming to iOS and PS4. If you want your Final Fantasy VII fix, it's fucking coming, and it's coming big. Multiple ways. So, we'll see about that. So, really strange. This was, this is the first time this has ever happened at E3.
Somebody had sex.
Right? Somebody found a girl. They announced a Kickstarter on stage at the Sony press conference, and it was for Shenmue 3.
Really? I mean, I knew that had gotten announced. I didn't realize it was a Kickstarter.
Yep, it was a Kickstarter. Basically, they got on stage. Yu Suzuki was there, and they counted down to the Kickstarter's start. 5, 4, 3, 2, right on stage. And...
Nobody donated for 2 hours.
Nope. Within the first 2 hours, it met its goal.
Wow. Yeah.
It is the fastest game to ever hit $1 million on Kickstarter ever. And it's also the fastest game to hit $2 million on Kickstarter ever. Within, I think, 2 hours of the announcement, it got funded. And it still has, 30 days to go. So this might be a pretty big game.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because, again, kind of like Final Fantasy VII, this is another game that I personally don't really care about. But it does go to show you just the detachment of game developers from publishers. Yeah. Because you think about, Koji Igarashi, if you read any of the stuff about Bloodstained, his whole thing was like, we know people will play this.
Right.
Like, I'm sure of it. All of these other games have sold. Like, this will work.
Yep.
But just nobody, the publishers aren't convinced. And it's like, why not? You know, this can obviously make money. What?
Sega handed over the rights to Yu Suzuki and said, we're not doing this.
You can have it back.
Your team can do it. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yep. This is, I mean, obviously the game people want.
Yeah.
Okay. The question, though, is that I don't have my numbers here, but didn't like Shenmue 1 cost like $20 million to make?
It was very expensive. Yeah, it went way over budget.
Insanely expensive.
And even the second one, I think, was kind of nutty too, because that had started as a Dreamcast game, and they're like, "Oh, we just can't do this."
So this is going to be on PS4 and PC, and they only asked for $2 million. I don't know what game they were thinking they were going to make, but I think they're going to get their $20 million. Maybe they'll release it on Dreamcast as well.
Yeah, that would be so great.
I'd buy
that. Yeah.
We suddenly found a way to care about this game.
Yeah.
Release it for
everybody. There's already been a Shenmue 3, and it was called Yakuza 1-5. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's the same fucking game.
I mean, I wish I had some input, but I mean,
a spiky-haired protagonist wandering around very realistic Japan, just dicking around with like mini games and jobs and side quests and stuff.
I remember going to a store in Shenmue 1 and they were like, "It's closed," and I was like, "When does it open?" They're like, "In 3 hours," and I was like, "Do I just have to wait here for 3 hours?" Yep, that's what you do in Shenmue. There's a lot of wandering around and waiting.
It's just like real life.
I would like to play through that game with some sort of guide or somebody telling me how to play through, because I've tried a couple times and I've been very unsuccessful both times.
Oh well.
Yeah. So that was that. They showed off Project Morpheus, their VR. It's coming next year. They said first half of next year, I think. They didn't give it a lot of time. It didn't have the wow factor that Microsoft HoloLens did. I don't think Sony thinks it's gonna sell. I don't even know. I don't know how they're going to sell this thing. We'll see what happens. Like I said, it wasn't given a lot of time. And honestly, that was sort of like this. They had this amazing first 30% of their conference where it was like Last Guardian, pow, Horizon, pow, Final Fantasy VII, pow. You know, it was just like all this great stuff. Shenmue 3. And then it was, and here's the new home of Call of Duty. I was like, oh no, this isn't going to be any good. And I zoned out for the next 10 minutes.
Oh well.
It's like, I was like, I don't care at all. So now Sony's press conference is the home of fucking Call of Duty. Yay.
Is it an exclusive for Sony?
No, but it was always a game that was associated with Xbox.
Oh.
You know, Xbox always had the first DLC. It always had, you know, like maybe like exclusive like maps or something. But it was a game that was heavily associated with Xbox, and I think a lot of people who bought the Xbox One assumed this is where, you know, where Call of Duty was going to go. And
that'll teach them.
It's it should teach them. It should teach them that the most popular platform is going to get the biggest titles and the most, you know, the earliest DLC for games. I hate this timed exclusive bullshit. Like I don't even buy that much DLC, and the whole thing just seems really strange to me. It's like, oh, they're going to get to play this map pack first. It's like, who the fuck cares?
No,
really, who cares?
Just tearing shirt.
Right? I'm like, I can't wait a month. It's like, whatever. There's some Destiny bullshit, which I can't believe people still play Destiny, but like 20 million people actively play Destiny. And this is
these poor sons of bitches.
I just don't get it. But you know what? It's two things that I don't like meshed into one. So
human beings and playing video games online.
Basically, MMO and Halo.
Yeah. And
those, I have no desire to play those games. So it's not marketed toward me, and they successfully did not market it.
They were successful in that campaign. Yep. Good job, everybody.
So, I mean, they did finish off with Uncharted 4, and I'm an Uncharted player. I'll say I'm an Uncharted player because I'm not an Uncharted fan.
You're an Uncharted acquaintance.
Yeah, I mean, I played through the campaign. I never played the multiplayer. And I might play through a second time, just, maybe get some extra trophies and stuff like that, see, like, what the hardest difficulty is like. But it's not a game that I drool over. It's not a game that I get super excited for. I generally make someone buy it for me for Christmas. 'Cause I'm like, I don't really want to spend the money on it, but if somebody gives it to me, I'll definitely play it.
Yeah, I do that too.
Yeah. So my brother would better get ready.
Just horrible human beings.
We are. So, but I will say that their little playthrough was visually impressive. It was kind of funny. Those games are always well scripted. And it made me slightly more excited for it than I was before.
Is this the one that's finally going to end with them all getting killed by the fungus from The Last of Us?
I wouldn't mind.
Someday.
I wouldn't mind. I think this will be the end of the Uncharted series. It's so weird to think of it, though, because if it's the end, you assume someone's going to die. And I hope that doesn't happen.
They're going to kill Nolan. What's his Nolan North at the end. Well, they're going to just have the credits will just have Nolan North's snuff film. It can't be any more Uncharted or video games, period.
I'm not even sure what to say about this, because Uncharted was always the Indiana Jones, kind of pulp action, Now
they're transitioning to Deadfall.
What's Deadfall?
It's that game that I was talking about for a couple weeks, that really weird Indiana Jones knockoff on the Xbox.
Oh, right.
A really low budget one.
Yeah. Anyway,
it's Deadfall's time.
It is. It's been too long. We need more Deadfall. Although now supposedly I'll be able to play it soon.
Yep.
On my Xbox One. Yeah. Anyway, so Nintendo had their Nintendo Direct earlier today. Very unimpressive.
Well, I saw the Smash Brothers announcements. Those were pretty terrific.
What was that?
They announced a bunch of new stuff is available right now.
Yeah.
Including Lucas, who we already knew was being available and easy fix.
Yep.
They announced Roy,
Yep.
which that's pretty cool. But again, they had the moveset already built in. Not anything too surprising. And then they dropped a bombshell. Ryu from Street Fighter 2 is a playable character in Smash Brothers.
Bombshell.
Which I thought it was pretty cool.
Oh, okay. I just want the amiibo.
That's true. Yeah, they announced a bunch more amiibos, which will be impossible to find, I'm sure.
And they did say that every Smash Brothers character will have an amiibo,
Yep.
So here they come.
I really want that Game & Watch one. He's one of my favorite characters, and I know that one's going to be fucking impossible.
Yep.
I hate these scalpers. Yeah,
it's craziness. So they started their conference off with Star Fox Zero, Wii U. So thank God that they haven't abandoned Wii U completely. But it looked really the environments looked pretty sparse. It didn't look terribly detailed. It didn't look like it was ready to show off. They're like, you control the action on the bottom screen with motion controls. I'm like, oh no. And they're like, you get a more cinematic view of the action on your TV. I'm like, how the hell are you supposed to look at your TV while you're waving your Wii tablet around?
And it'll blow your mind to see talking animals when you're drunk.
I don't know. I just don't know. Then they had Zelda Triforce Heroes for the 3DS. It was a co-op game. Not really into it.
Yeah.
They had Metroid Prime Federation Force. More co-op.
Yeah.
More 3DS.
It's kind of shitty, too.
Yep. And they spent some time with Super Mario Maker, which is now called Super Mario Maker instead of Mario Maker. Why is that newsworthy? I don't know. And it looks really fun. You never have to buy another 2D Mario game again. I think that's what they're telling us.
They finally learned their lesson. Were you going to talk about the... Oh, God. Oh, I'm going to die here. I'm on the last one.
Please don't let him die here. Not here.
Did you see the announcement that they're doing a Mario and Luigi and Paper Mario crossover?
Yeah, I don't know how that didn't make the list.
That's... Oh, man.
What's it called? It's like Paper...
Mario and Luigi paper. I don't know,
Something.
but yeah, as a huge fan of both of those series, that's pretty exciting to me.
I like the Paper Mario series, but I do not like the Mario and Luigi series.
Have you played any of them?
The first one on GBA.
Okay, that one was pretty good. I liked that.
Yeah, I felt like they'd introduce a mechanic and then you just used it nonstop. And you're like, okay, well, why didn't they just put a ladder here if I have to like carry him and throw him? I don't know.
Who wants to learn how to do things and then have to do them in a video game? Ugh.
Yeah, there was something very unnatural about it for me, though, and it was a long time ago. But I never gave any of the follow-ups a shot. I'm assuming they're all pretty similar.
Yeah. I liked them though. I felt like they and Paper Mario, I feel like both had a similar brand of humor. That's really the only sticking point for me. Is I almost feel like, why do you need a crossover when these games are so similar?
Yeah.
Like, couldn't you have just done one and incorporated mechanics from the other?
Yeah, it seemed weird to see Mario talking to Mario and stuff. It's like,
maybe it's going to be like all weird and trippy. Like,
fine, that
would be great.
I'll take it.
They really finally just dive headfirst into how batshit crazy the Mushroom Kingdom is when you really stop and think about it.
It is pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah. Like the mushroom retainers are supposed to be sentient fungus, and the Goombas are sentient fungus. So are they different races of fungus, or are they like when you leave Princess Toadstool, you just like turn into this weird? I don't know. It's messed up, man.
Now I don't know where the headache's coming from.
Yeah, and Princess Toadstool is a human by all accounts. Where did she come from?
Right.
Who are Bowser's kids' parents?
Yeah, where's Mom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why why does Mario grow when he eats mushrooms? What? What is going on?
My hand grows when I eat mushrooms.
Well, yeah, there is that, I guess. I feel like that's low-hanging fruit, but I guess I would kind of enjoy the idea of this all being just like Mario's hallucinogenic trip.
Or he finally comes down from the trip, and he's like, back to work, Luigi.
Yeah.
We're just plumbers.
Yeah, well, it would be Luigi. He's like, hey, get off the ground. We gotta unclog this horrific toilet nightmare.
And then there's a new Mario Tennis game.
It's good to know that Camelot is still employed.
I feel like at this point, it's not enough to just give us a Mario Tennis game. You have to give us, if it's going to be
an M-rated Mario Tennis game.
If it's going to be a full-fledged Wii U game, like, give us tennis, give us basketball, give us soccer, give us everything in one big package.
Yeah, you don't really think about it much, but they had like Wii Sports, which came bundled with the Wii, had like 4 different games on it.
And it was the best sports for the system.
And I mean, none of them were as robust as the Mario sports games, but like...
Yeah. Although there were some Mario sports games that were made by Square, weren't there? That were pretty horrible.
The basketball one for the DS was a crossover with Square, I think. Okay. Most of the... is it Mario Tennis and Golf, though, is Camelot, which used to make Golden Sun, which... And Shining Force, which... What happened? Where are those?
Where is Shining Force?
Well, they're still making them, but it's Sega, and they're terrible.
Yeah, that's a shame.
All right, last one. Ugh.
Perfect timing, because we get to the last press conference right now.
God. Square
Enix.
Sony obviously took their biggest announcement.
Yeah. They opened up with Hitman. I'm just like, really? Like, that's the problem, is that now Square Enix, like, Square and Enix were great companies, but now they own, like, they own whoever the fuck makes Hitman. They own whoever makes Deus Ex. They make whoever makes Tomb Raider. Like,
well, that's all Eidos, isn't it?
Yeah, and I hate them. Like, it's just they used to be like these awesome creative companies, and like these big, high budget, high action movie like games are just. I mean, for me, I zone. Like I said, I zone out, and I'm like, press conference, mute.
So as a clarifying thing, though, it's really not Square Enix. It's really Enix that owns all of this. They bought Square and they used the name because the name had more
clout.
Cash. Yeah, it had more clout in other regions. But it's Enix's money that's been funding all of this,
which is weird. I mean, I know in Japan, like, they were bigger than they were here.
Yeah,
but still weird.
Yeah,
Final Fantasy money should have been amazing money.
Yeah, but not Dragon Quest amazing. Apparently
not. So pretty crazy. But they did announce a new Nier title.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I mean, not bad, but
made in conjunction with Platinum Games.
And that's fucking bananas.
How many games is Platinum making right now? Because they're making Scalebound for Xbox One.
Right.
They're making this.
Oh no! You started that sentence without a clear goal.
Not at all. But they are making plenty of other games, and I don't think they're that big of a team.
They're just really throwing themselves into it. I mean, I'm having a hard time thinking.
Are they still making Bayonetta 2? No, I'm kidding. I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
I wasn't a huge fan of Wonderful 101 or Metal Gear Rising. Whatever, but I feel like in general none of their games are real duds, whether I click with them or not.
Yeah, they all get reviewed really well.
They've got a pretty sterling track record.
Yeah.
Nier. Wow. Not because I couldn't see more being done with the Nier universe, but if you got the real ending for Nier, it seemed like such a finale, you know? Yeah.
I don't remember. It took me a lot of vodka to get through Nier. I didn't like it as much as you did.
It was a crunchy game. I did not like it unequivocally.
Yep. But there was a point where I remember being in like a forest or something, and they made me read a lot.
See, I loved that, the text adventure dungeon.
I was drunk.
Well,
okay, so I'm blasting through, just being like, I don't care. I'm like, did they forget to finish this game? Is that what's happening? Like,
that would be so great.
Like, it's all text from this point on, and then like the ending was soon after, I think, right?
I mean, a couple. Depending on the order that you did the dungeons, I guess it might be kind of quickly.
No idea. There was no strategy involved. So I thought that was a weird game to choose to have a follow-up.
Yeah.
I'm betting it's really early on. It's a lot of the original team, surprisingly.
Yeah, because that team disbanded after Nier. That was the end of them.
And they didn't even reveal what the full name of the game was going to be. It was Nier, and they blurred out some kanji. Which they didn't have to blur it out for my sake.
Yeah,
I still don't know.
I can't read it.
Right, and then they announced that they started a new game dev called Tokyo RPG Factory.
Okay.
I really wish they had called it like Tokyo RPG Sweatshop, where it was just like,
and it's all former Idea Factory and Gust employees,
right? And they basically showed us some not even screenshots, like some conceptual art.
It's like all drawn on a napkin, like a little guy with a sword, like all stick figured out.
Like, here's their new project. It doesn't have a name or a story or a game, so. Look forward to that in 2020.
Yeah, we're gonna make a game that's anime inspired about a 15-year-old boy who saves the world from some kind of vaguely Christian apocalypse, and he may fall in love with a shy girl along the way.
I know you're kind of joking, but they actually sort of referenced. They were like, "We want to get back to traditional JRPGs, and this is how we're going to do it." So. Good, because I want my JRPGs to come from J.
Yeah,
I'm sick of these like North American Japanese and I gotta stop saying J. Japanese inspired RPGs that don't make me think of a title because I can't. But like
Sudeki.
Okay, good. Original Xbox, not bad. I just want things to go back the way they were.
Me too. Just.
I don't need anything more powerful than a Super Nintendo. Can you shit out a few of those for me?
Yeah, we're just old curmudgeons.
We are. And we've had the same exact conversation before.
Like 20 times.
A million times.
Every episode.
You even used the word curmudgeon last time.
I'm sure I did. It's a good word.
So, E3 is, it's still going on, but for all intents and purposes, the press conferences, the big news reveals, they're over.
Oh, also they released Earthbound on the Wii U, which is
Earthbound Beginnings,
which is kind of banana. being straight, the
Who are you talking to?
Yeah, I know. I realized I paused for way too long. That wasn't a question of sexuality. But speaking straight, the Earthbound on the Super Nintendo is pretty much a better version of the original Mother. I mean, Mother was kind of a proof of concept of the original Earthbound. It's an okay game, but it's not great. So it's not like we needed it over here,
yeah.
But the fact that they brought it over is kind of amazing. The fact that they're like, we haven't forgotten about this game, and we know that a lot of you have wanted to be able to play it in a legal way for some time.
So what's next? Are they going to use the fan translation of Mother 3?
That's what people were talking about. That doesn't seem... Other companies I could definitely see doing that. I mean, what was it? Axis, I think, bought the fan translation to one of the East games.
Oh,
and
really?
Just used that to bring over. Yeah.
Why not?
Like, it's, yeah, I mean, hey, well, exactly, why not? Like,
right.
It's... but that doesn't seem like the type of... Like, Nintendo doesn't like to give up the reins that much. Although, right. I mean, they're letting another company make cell phone games, so maybe this is a new era for them.
A new Nintendo.
Yeah.
Don't count on it.
No, probably not. But it's exciting that they want to open that up, you know?
So we just talked about a lot of things that went down.
We did.
We definitely glossed over some of them, so if we didn't focus on something that you wanted us to...
We don't care.
We
really, seriously.
But as far as you're concerned, which one of these things like really is like this made the show for me? Well, first, you know what? Who do you think had a better show? Who do you think had the best show?
I mean, Sony did a pretty good job. Those are some big announcements.
If Sony had announced Half-Life 3, I think that's the only thing they could have done.
Really kind of covered all their bases.
Right. Like we're giving you everything you've been asking for ever. So, yeah, like, outside of Half-Life 3, they couldn't have given us anything else.
I mean, do I care about most of it? Not really. But objectively, I can appreciate the fact that, like, damn, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So you think Sony kind of...
Yeah, I mean,
took it?
I think so, too. I was a bit more impressed by some of the Nintendo stuff than
I was.
Than you were.
Oh, you mean you want to play... Animal Crossing, Happy Home Designer.
Do I ever?
Or Animal Crossing, Amiibo Festival. Wait a minute. I want to play that.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
because then I'd have to open my Amiibos.
Oh, I owe you some money, by the way.
Oh, sweet. Good, because I took yesterday off from work.
Yeah. Speaking of Amiibos.
But, so I don't think Sony won. I think
really?
they did an amazing job. But I think if you had seen Microsoft's press conference... here's the deal. I don't care about Gears of War. I don't care about Halo. But the people who do, they got what they were looking for.
Yeah.
Not only are they getting a new Gears, they're getting Gears 1 remastered. And then they get to see
Thank
gameplay
God.
from... Yeah, seriously. now that you can actually play Gears 1 on your Xbox One, here's a remastered one. Let's see if anyone buys it.
Yeah.
You could just go to GameStop and buy it for $6. I'm curious. I'm curious to see if it's going to make a difference. But... announcing backward compatibility was huge. It basically opened up my system. I already bought 2 Xbox 360 games off of eBay.
Oh, that's right, because you don't have an Xbox.
I've never had a 360 ever, and so suddenly I got a brand new system for free. It's going to take a while for them to roll out the compatibility and stuff, but I can't wait to play Blue Dragon. I can't wait to play Alan Wake finally. I
guess I never realized that was an exclusive.
Yeah, Enchanted Arms, I think, was another one that I want to play.
You can talk to John about. If you play that one, we definitely have to have John back for the show.
We have to have him back anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are suddenly they opened up this console to. I mean, for somebody like me, I know I'm in the minority here because I think a lot of people went from 360 to PS4.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about all these games that I'm going to finally get to play and not have to hook up yet another console to my TV. So that was big news for me. I thought the Rare Replay announcement, 30 games for $30, these are games that I want to play.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. Because they never do, now that everything's downloadable, they never do those kind of compilations anymore.
Nope.
Especially not somebody with as much of a colorful back catalog as Rare.
Yeah.
I mean, even though in years past, my enthusiasm for a lot of their games has waned, having all of that collected in one spot is pretty cool. Amazing.
Yeah. So, and then, the game preview announcement with the, that's sort of like early access. It was just, I felt like their heart was in the right place, and they were saying all the right things. In the Microsoft HoloLens, I was like, it's such a gimmick, and I can't wait to have it, whereas Morpheus was sort of a dud. I don't want to say it, man, but I think Microsoft blew it out of the water, and I think they won the conference for me. And I find, and that's coming from someone who's been
Do you give
desperately
them a little trophy of yourself,
trophy.
like golden?
Yeah.
Where you're like, not bad, good job, guys.
And this is coming from somebody who desperately wanted The Last Guardian forever, and I'm finally getting it.
You're just so fickle.
I am really.
You're getting everything that you want, and you're just like, oh, is this it?
I am the epitome of the internet.
I know. Didn't you make some comment earlier about like people needing to be patient? And it's like.
And I am patient. I'm very excited that it's finally coming. I wish that the short preview they gave us of it was better. I don't know. I sort of feel like I just came back from a vacation, and I need a few days off to recover. So that said,
get out, Mike. I'm going to sleep.
What are you going to be playing this week?
Oh man, we're jumping right to that. Well, I finished Wolfenstein, the new order, and I'm still working on Fantasy Life because it's a huge game.
Yep.
And I've been playing Aqua Kitty.
What's Aqua Kitty?
You have to say it like that, Aqua Kitty.
What's Aqua Kitty?
There we go. It's this weird. I know, I do too, but you can't help it. That's how you have to say it that way.
Okay. I didn't get the memo.
It's this weird little underwater like submarine shooter, kind of like a base defense game.
Okay.
It's very, very basic. It feels like a kind of classic arcade game. Where you're trying to protect underwater milking wells from attacking robot fish. And it's just this simple little arcade game with an awesome soundtrack and weirdly adorable sprite art.
Okay.
So that's what I've been working on. I guess I'll probably finish it. After that, I'm probably going to go download that Smash Brothers stuff and maybe play some of the old Earthbound.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited.
So over the course of the last, it's taken me a little while. I know the last episode we talked about how I'd reorganized my entire apartment and then put it all back the way it started. But part of that process was ripping everything apart from my entertainment center, rewiring everything, finding ways to plug all my consoles in at the same time. And now that I have that CRT television, I actually have almost everything hooked up at the same time. I got my Jaguar and the Jaguar CD hooked up with the N64.
You never know when you're going to want to tuck into that.
It's kind of funny because I was like, I finally get to play all these games, and I took a cartridge and I played it, and I was like, this is garbage.
This is so bad. Oh my god, what am I doing?
The Jaguar,
you just start crying when you put the system on.
There are very few things I think that live up to the horrible reputations they have. Like there's at least some redeeming qualities. The Jaguar deserves a lot of what it's got. It's my favorite bad system to collect for, but
because you can probably get all the games for like a nickel.
No.
Oh, really? It's one of those deals?
Yeah, you're not getting anything for less than $20.
God.
And those are the cheap ones.
What is wrong with people?
Yeah, I remember a few years ago, Alien vs. Predator was like, you could find it anywhere for like $10. And now it's like super expensive to find it in box and everything. And for some reason, Jaguar games, I need to get them in box with the manual. I don't know why I do that for some and not for others, but there just wasn't a lot of Jaguar games.
They don't stack very well. They're weird.
The carts
are... that handle on the top.
Yeah, with no label. I have no idea what I'm pulling out ever. And so, I honestly, I don't really have an answer for what I'm going to be playing or what I have been playing.
Not the Jaguar.
not the Jaguar. But now that everything's hooked up, like I feel like I have too many options. Like I can actually go through and play stuff. Certain things did come in the mail, like whatever the fuck this is.
Let me see. What is this?
It's awesome.
I have no idea. I've never even seen this game before.
Oh,
what
it's
is
so
this?
good. You just show it to the camera because I don't know what it is or what it's called.
What is this madness?
Yeah.
And it came with a card.
No, the card is just from the person who sent it to me. And it's sort of like a platformer combined with a shooter, because the screen scrolls forward automatically.
Okay.
And then eventually it doesn't. I'm like, the game just break? Nope. Now it's just normal platformer.
Okay.
So I've got like all these weird things that have just been showing up recently. If you see down there, like I've got these like really weird, like the Harry Potter Metal Gear, like these weird Russian.
What is this even for?
It's for the Genesis. All of those.
That
all those
can't actually play. That can't look like that on the Genesis. No way.
In the Retron 5 doesn't play these hacks. So I actually have to hook up my original Genesis just to be able to play these things.
So bizarre. Does this actually look like this too? That can't.
It does. I've seen video shots or video of that, but I don't know if there's much more than, because all three shots look almost identical.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of garbage to kind of sift through. Oh, and one that I just picked up for the Wii, which is really really cheap. It's under Mario Galaxy 2 called Heavenly Guardian.
Oh yeah, this is supposed to be pretty bad.
It's the spirit. So I was reading about it. It's kind of the spiritual successor to Pocky and Rocky.
Yeah.
And I've been on a kick of picking those up recently.
Those are really expensive, aren't they?
Yeah. I got this pretty cool. Somebody on eBay is creating reproductions, and I don't think it's no longer legal, or maybe it was never legal to sell the kind of reproductions that I was originally buying, like the like anything that came out in the United States, like the Bonk's Adventure, shit. I'm thinking of Little Ralph, but what's the Nintendo?
Oh, Little Samson.
Little Samson.
Okay.
So I picked those up from Flashback Games a while ago, and they don't sell them anymore.
Yeah.
Anything that actually came out in the U.S., none of these companies sell anymore. So I'm glad I got them when I could.
Yeah.
But I wish I picked up a few more, like Panic Restaurant and those kind of things. But so what was the point of all this? Oh, so it's
I don't know. What's the point of any of this, really?
So it's really hard to find some of these reproductions.
Yeah.
And somebody on eBay is currently selling a Pocky and Rocky double pack. It's
one cart
with both games on it, and there's a Switch on top.
That's awesome.
Switch it back and forth, and so I picked up one of those. And it still wasn't cheap, but it was way cheaper than spending like $400 on the other two games.
God. I told you about my missing box of Super Nintendo games a while back. That when I broke up with my ex-girlfriend and moved out, I left this box that ended up having like all of my the really expensive ones, including Pocky and Rocky 2 in there. And I was like,
because that is so expensive right now.
Yeah, she was nice and gave it back.
That is very nice of her.
That is, yeah. I don't think I mentioned how much it was worth when I asked for it back, but
good call. Yeah,
it was mine. I did pay for it.
Did you have it in box?
No.
Okay, just the cart?
Yeah.
Still super expensive.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I've got a lot of stuff to play through. With all these systems hooked up, I'm really excited to be able to get back to stuff that, like, I even ordered some 3DO games because I was like,
you're just like, why not?
Right, because it's hooked up.
I'm circling the drain anyways.
Really, kind of the case. I'm so broke, it's not even funny.
Good thing you took a day off to watch E3.
Yep. Thanks for joining us. This has been a very depressing episode.
I know, we're going to end on a low note. Well, I actually have... Yeah. I have a story.
Oh, so please tell.
I do have a story.
Because this just isn't going on long enough.
I feel like I have this reputation on the show for the three people that watch it.
I was going to say, you have to have watchers have reputations.
Yeah. I feel like I have a reputation for being kind of the cynical, less easily impressed individual. I feel like I
What does that say about me?
Well,
kind of a patsy.
Yeah. When it comes to video games, maybe.
Yeah.
And I want to express to the world that I do have this hopeful side as well. That I do have a more optimistic, more bright side of my personality. So I was leaving a store, one of the stores that I usually hit up for classic games, like at the thrift store. And I had picked up, when I was there, a copy of the movie Signs on DVD. The film. It's the M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like it has kind of a divisive reputation, though. I feel like some people really hate it, but I really enjoyed it.
Sure.
And the whole crux of that movie is kind of the idea of faith and believing that things happen for a reason, and how we wrestle with that, and the idea that every little thing kind of adds up to our lives. And so I was thinking about that idea as I walked out of the store. And as I'm thinking about that, this guy comes running up to me. And this was not in a great part of town, so I'm like, well, here we go. He comes running up to me. And the first thing he says is, I'm totally broke. And so I'm like, yeah, here it comes. But he's like, I'm totally broke. And I just found $20 on the ground in the parking lot. He's like, can you believe that? I got no money to my name, and I just found $20 in the ground of the parking lot. And I was like, wow, that's really lucky. And he's like, lucky? He's like, no, man, you don't understand. Like, I'm broke, and I just found $20. And so I'm thinking, and he clearly, I realized why he came running up to me, because he was just so excited. He needed to tell somebody, and sure. I was there. So so I'm standing there, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm witnessing this guy's, like, transformation. Like, this is that moment, he's hit rock bottom, but he finds that $20, and this is where he starts, like, back up to, this is happening for a reason. And so I'm listening to him talk, and I'm like, wow, this is this really, like, I'm kind of the peripheral observer to this guy's, this transitional moment in this guy's life. And so he kind of just talks for a few minutes, and just rambling because he's so excited, and finally he starts to walk away, and I'm kind of getting into my car, just sort of smiling to myself, and he turns and he looks at me and he smiles and he goes, I'm gonna go buy a huge bag of weed. And I'm just like, of course you are.
Thanks for joining us on Gaming Without Parole.
Last episode of Gaming Without Parole.
My name is Bryan Paul.
I'm Mike Zeller.
And we'll see you next week.
Maybe.